Mr. President, what do you think about the UK getting into business with China? Keir Starmer was in Beijing.
Well, it's very dangerous for them to do that, and it's even more dangerous, I think, for Canada to get into business with China. Canada is not doing well. They're doing very poorly. And you can't look at China as the answer. I know China very well. I know President Xi is a friend of mine. I know him very well. But that's a big hurdle to go over when you get Canada. The first thing they're going to do is say you're not allowed to play ice hockey anymore. That's not good. Canada's not going to like that.
President Trump with a warning there to UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer on doing business with China. Starmer visiting Beijing and Shanghai last week to what he claims is restoring Britain's relationships and investments with Xi Jinping. He also secured visa-free travel for British citizens to China and a $13 billion investment by AstraZeneca to build new facilities in China. Joining me now is Gatestone Institute Senior Fellow Gordon Chang. Gordon, interesting development here. I think we've seen this movie before. What's your take?
Beijing humiliated Starmer during that visit. We saw it during the communique in which it was very dismissive of the British Prime Minister. When Starmer visited the Forbidden City, they didn't clear it. He looked like an ordinary tourist, like he looked when he traveled the Shanghai waterfront. So this is something that Starmer just didn't get very much out of the Chinese. I mean, yes, they did reduce the tariff on whiskey to 5% from 10%. That probably doesn't have very much of a material effect. But it was Starmer the one bearing gifts to China, including that investment by AstraZeneca. And by the way, it's a really bad idea for Western companies to help China improve its biotech, because we know they use that for their weapons programs. And COVID, we should have learned what that was about. That was 7 million people outside China died from a disease, which looks like it came from a Chinese biological weapons program. And we know the Chinese deliberately spread it beyond their borders.
Well, that's incredible. I mean, look, is this a reaction to what he's facing in the United States? Is Xi Jinping thinking that he's going to get even more, opportunities in Britain with this? Give us a sense and tell the audience how you think this plays out.
I think it plays out, there's a lot of hand-wringing about Western leaders trooping over to China and bowing and scraping, which they've been doing, especially since December with Emmanuel Macron, Carney, Starmer, and Friedrich Merz, the German chancellor, is going there this month, actually. But, the Chinese are going to treat them poorly. The Chinese economy is crumbling. The regime is falling out from under Xi Jinping. And so, the Chinese are going to lash out. And so eventually all of this is going to end up with the West reuniting, because it will have to. But in the meantime, it doesn't look good. And I hope President Trump starts to repair relations with our traditional allies so this doesn't happen in the first place.
Well, I got to tell you, I love this one story about the Panama ports. The Trump administration, with a major national security win here against Beijing, Panama's Supreme Court ruling that Hong Kong-based C.K. Hutchinson's contract to oversee and rule those two ports along the Panama Canal is unconstitutional. This obviously opens the door for a BlackRock-led consortium to acquire those ports, which they've been trying to do, insert American control back in there, Gordon. I spoke with Victoria Coates about it yesterday from a national security advisor. And here's what she said. Watch this.
They were saying, oh, no, there's no Chinese influence. There's no problem with China. It's an economic decision. Well, no, that got reversed this week because of the sustained engagement of the Trump administration and the president himself. He knows how vital the Panama Canal is to our economy. If you want to shut us off, shut off the canal. It's intolerable that China would control those ports. And now the Panama Supreme Court has declared that contract null and void. The Danish company Maersk is going to come in, and then we'll see if BlackRock takes them over.
Do you think this opens up the opportunity for BlackRock to acquire those ports? Because we thought that they were going to be able to, but then China stopped. I mean, China has been very effective at infiltrating ports all across the world.
The Australians may now be nationalizing that port to kick the Chinese out. Haifa in Israel, Piraeus in Greece. This is a terrible problem. And a lot of it is Hutchinson, which was a fairly benign Hong Kong-based company when they were under British rule. Now they're under CCP rule. It's become an extension of the Communist Party. They can't be trusted. They have to go.
What do you think, Gordon?
Oh, well, Panama was certainly a win, and it's attributable to the Trump administration. That case was started by activists, but we saw the Panamanian Attorney General come in on the side of the activists after President Trump made it clear that China had to leave the canal zone. So this was directly attributable to Trump administration policy. But remember that, getting the Hutchinson out of those two ports, that's really important. But China is still there. So, for instance, China is building the fourth bridge over the canal. And remember, it's easy to block the canal if you can bring down the bridge. So we want the Chinese out of that fourth bridge and out of all of its other operations in the canal zone. So there's a lot more to do there.
Mm-hmm. And what about this shakeup in Chinese military? I mean, look, the Journal is writing this. Since mid-2023, at least 60 senior military officers and defense industry executives have been placed under investigation. They've been either removed from public office, they've abruptly been replaced. Among them, top officers in the China Army, the Air Force, Navy, Rocket Force, the paramilitary police, as well as major theater commands, including the one focused on Taiwan, Gordon. As you know, I've reported in the past that Xi Jinping has not been in control of his army for some time now. What's your take on this most recent shakeup?
Yeah, this leaves the Chinese military in disarray when you take out the #1 uniformed officer and the two most senior officers who are basically the only people on the Central Military Commission with wartime experience. They were participated in the 1979 invasion of Vietnam. So the Chinese military right now has had its chain of command severed. This is really interesting because, a lot of media says, well, Xi Jinping has been getting rid of his people. Well, I think a lot of the dismissals have been caused by Xi Jinping's adversaries getting rid of Xi Jinping's loyalists, including General Hu Weidong, who is reported to have been suicided last May. So there's just turmoil, and it's not clear that Xi Jinping is responsible for much of this turmoil, which means that Xi Jinping has indeed lost control of the military. He's now struggling to get it back. We don't know where this is at the moment, but really it is uncertain. And, your reporting was spot on in the beginning.
Wow, this is incredible. I mean, I've heard the term he's been disappeared, but suicided? Wow, this is just dangerous stuff. Beijing also moving to build a space-based AI data center within the next 5 years. We've done this and the importance of space in my Fox Nation specials on space. Your thoughts on now its efforts here to build that there?
China's putting a lot of money into its space efforts, but they're behind the U.S. We are going to see probably this month, maybe next month, Artemis 2 launched, and it will circle the moon or fly by the moon. And we're also going to probably have a U.S. landing on the moon next year, 2028, according to NASA. China will be at least 1 or 2 years behind. The United States is well ahead in not only the race to the moon, but the more important race, which is the race for the moon, which means putting colonies at the south pole of the moon, which is the most desirable location there. And we're ahead because of a guy named Elon Musk's, because he's got SpaceX, they've got the heavy lifters, they're reusable, and China is at least 3 or 4 years behind on the lifters. And that is critical in order to colonize the moon. Yeah. It's the race for the moon, not the race to the moon, which is important.
Very important, and that's because President Trump understands the importance of space. It's where our satellites are, and it's a national security issue. We know that. Gordon, always great to catch up. Thank you so much.